Hello, hello, my beauties and bees. Welcome once again to another installment of SciFails, where we take some of these top 10 and what if and deadliest and most dangerous and the one you're glad's extinct. All these crazy animal videos and science and nature videos that make claims about organisms that just get a little. I love Brittany. Stop. I love Brittany so much. But today, we are going to be looking at a what if video. And this is what if giant bugs roam the earth. I've watched a few of these videos. It's from What If. It's the channel. 7.68 million subscribers. 361 comments. 3.7k thumbs up. So they're going to tell us about giant bugs by showing us giant spiders that live today. So let's find out where we're going with this. Let's find out what's going on. All right, so this is what if giant bugs roamed the earth.
Call the army. Heck, call your mom, because the end is here. Giant bugs are now roaming the earth. If these behemoths existed, would humanity become bug food? How could a bird save your life? And why would Grandma's jewelry come in handy? This is What If, and here's what would happen if giant bugs roamed the earth. We don't have to watch old monster movies to wonder what it would look like if giant insects ran the planet. Just step into the What If time machine and look at our past.
We're going to go to the Carboniferous?
Over 300 million years ago, these monsters were everywhere. Yeah, the mega...
And they would have been pretty harmless to all. There's no arthropod, no terrestrial arthropod that would be like a physical contender against a human, generally speaking. None of them are big enough to like take down a human with, just using their sheer size and strength.
Nura, an early dragonfly relative, had a wingspan of over...
So, Logan, I am in love with the bug pit from King Kong. It's like my favorite thing ever in fiction. I hate that it was stripped, but I love that it became like lost lore, and then now it's available. That's why I put it like in my intro today. I don't know if you saw it. There was actually the original bug pit scene where they used like real scorpion claws and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Over 60 centimeters. So why don't we see these buzzing behemoths today? These days, atmospheric oxygen hovers around 21%, but during prehistoric times, oxygen levels could reach almost 35%. If the levels rose that high now, you would need masks and suits to avoid oxygen poisoning. But during these oxygen...
But you could, just for the record though, you could take it off for just a couple of breaths and get really high. And then put it back on, put the mask back on. You could do that in the Carboniferous. So, it would be good for your brain, but you could do it. Like one of those, well, I shouldn't say it would be good for your brain. It might be like one of those oxygen bars that they used to have.
Insects competed with birds for resources. The faster and more agile birds won out over the insects and...
Wait. So... It was that oxygen shift, right? That made it wasn't. They got outcompeted by birds, and birds didn't come. Flying birds didn't come around for a while yet, till the Jurassic, or flying archosaurs, I guess I should say, that would later become birds or bird ancestors, if you will. But we're talking before the Permian extinction event, when these giant insects lived, before the Permian even, because it's talking about the Carboniferous, and there was like a rainforest collapse that fix the oxygen level. It never got back up to that level again. So they weren't. It's not that they couldn't compete with birds. It's that they could no longer attain those sizes because of the lack of oxygen. This was also a really flammable time period. Just throwing that out there. Really flammable.
Learned to eat them. Eventually, insects began to shrink to the size we know today, but if they were suddenly huge...
Well, they didn't shrink. The ones that did passed on their genetics were the small ones because the big ones couldn't survive in the low oxygen levels.
Would you have to become nocturnal? With instantly elevated oxygen levels, bugs wouldn't be the only ones getting a growth spurt. Trees could grow up to 30 meters, and even your everyday ferns could be massive. And crawling around on the forest floor, giant millipedes, almost 2...
So, I mean, are we talking like if you brought the Carboniferous organisms to present day with the plants and stuff? Or are you talking about like if they evolved to live with us now and they were still giant? There's some different speculation that could happen here, right? Because you could, I mean, bring in you're talking about trees and ferns and things like that. Now that's going to have an ecological impact beyond just. I mean, it would the a sudden appearance of Carboniferous aged forest across the globe would be a impact with or without giant insects. But the giant insects aren't going to be the major problem. It's going to be the marshy forest, and there wouldn't be trees per se, and not what we consider trees. There wouldn't be angiosperms because there weren't angiosperms. And as far as the non-angiosperm lycopods and things like that, there was the vascular strength, like what we see as wood in modern trees, wasn't really a common feature. There was organisms with it that like palms that had tree-like characteristics too. So yeah. Anyway,
2 meters long. Yeah, these things would be everywhere, eating decaying matter and plants. Nothing to worry about, right? Ha, come on, this is what if. You know better than that. Those dragonflies we saw earlier would be back, and...
Well, so the millipede, the Barthopleura, is not going to be a danger to anybody, like in any capacity. Maybe it secreted poison if you tried to harass it, but it's not developed to ward off larger predators because it was basically the largest thing in its environment, and it was heavily armored. So that's what it depended on. It didn't need to be venomous. It didn't need to be rearing up on its hind legs It's rearing up like a cobra, or like a real centipede does. Now centipedes, potentially, there was a centipede that I tried to find more information on that was allegedly like a meter long, but I can't find any evidence for it beyond what's on a Creationist website. So press X to doubt. Do I have that set up? I do. Woot woot. Yeah, there we go. All right.
In a big way. Dragonflies today are deadly predators with great vision. They bite into their prey's head and fly it back to a nice secluded spot where they devour everything. Only now, humans would be on their menu.
I don't think so. They probably even Meganeura-sized dragonflies wouldn't anticipate them targeting anything bigger than like a bird or a rodent. They'd be like a hawk, So it's like you wouldn't say that, or a crow, they're often compared in size to a crow. You wouldn't say that humans are on the menu for crows. Because or hawks.
Their only chance to strike down this winged menace would be in their early developmental stage, before their tough exoskeletons are fully formed. Getting them first while they're still learning to fly.
I think they'd probably be worse, more of a threat to humans in their larval form, like living in your pool. Could you imagine like a toad size, one of those guys grabbing hold of your ankle and giving you a quick nip? It wouldn't be pleasant.
May seem like fighting dirty, but this world won't cut you any slack. And you might just have a meal for
that was Caveman with Ringo Starr. Yeah.
later. Just remember to aim for the eyes. But what if you needed something stronger to take down these creatures? The average insect's exoskeleton consists of wax, protein strands, and other elements layered together to protect them from their daily dangers.
Not even a mention of chitin, the main substantive structure, or structural substance. The main structural substance of a exoskeleton is chitin.
Even their muscle attachments between their limbs, made from a biopolymer material called chitin, are 6 times stronger than human tendons.
Look at those mites on his face, man. Living in as I say often on this channel, the arthropod microcosm is cutthroat AF. Like, it cannot be outdone. It is literally the most brutal environment. Could you imagine having parasites that are that big compared to your head on your face? These would be like, that'd be like if I had like lipstick tube sized parasites just hanging off my face. And there was nothing I could do about it to get them off. I mean, homeboys got claws and stuff, but obviously they can't claw them off.
Yeah, getting through an exoskeleton with conventional weapons wouldn't be easy.
What is
But
that
a
supposed to be?
diamond-tipped bullet or drill bit might be strong enough to pierce this outer shell. Maybe you could strap a diamond to a spear. Scientists have even been working on creating hexagonal diamonds, stronger than anything available now.
They're going to suggest diamond bullets for giant insects.
These lumbering threats around, they better speed up the process. Now, depleting oxygen levels stopped these bugs before, so could it stop them again?
Weaponized climate change.
Maybe over time. If humans keep burning fossil fuels and dumping carbon dioxide into the air, we might see these bugs shrink in size over decades, but that might not be fast enough. So how do they fight back?
So how did they get that big in the first place? Now you're talking about evolving and changing. I thought this was something we evolved together. So did they suddenly appear in our timeline with their high oxygen levels and giant fern trees and stuff?
Sometimes the best way to stop a predator
I think you could probably get through the exoskeleton with at least of most giant insects with regular bullets. I don't think you need diamond bullets. With a regular spear, I don't think you need a diamond spear. Probably with a good baseball bat for pretty much every one of them. A good baseball bat would probably be a sufficient weapon against it. Because most arthropods, when you crack their exoskeleton, they're done. Whether they have more fight left in them is up to debate, but generally they're going to leak out all their hemolymph and just be done. They won't be when you crack a spider open, it can't sustain it because spiders, it's hydrostatic, right? So they pump that hydrolymph fluid through their body, and when you rupture that, it's like puncturing anything that's hydraulic. All the pieces just fall limp because there's no more liquid, no more pressurized liquid to push into different valve chambers.
is with another predator. You might want to breed large birds to protect you, since they eat dragonflies and other insects.
Not usually purple. Usually they cannot. They don't have the ability to claw. They're so short-lived that it's not been an evolutionary benefit to them to need to heal. It's just better. It's more beneficial to the ecology that if they get damaged, that they die. They're able to sustain reproductive numbers with that feature about them. Now, in individual species and species specific and all that, perhaps there are ones that can survive or can heal to some extent. But if the secret is with being a spider person, the secret is to if they can molt, if they can make it to their next molt, they'll heal, because they can't heal their existing exoskeleton, but they can molt out and produce a new one that is not damaged. So if they can survive without leaking out all their hemolymph, if they can survive that, then they will be more likely to survive further exploitation of their anatomy. It's like you see sometimes people have spiders and they'll have their legs all ripped off, right? Or multiple numbers of their legs ripped off, and people can actually nurse them back to health until they molt out and grow new appendages. Some kids used to do that in school when I was little. They used to pull legs off spiders. They'd pin it down with like a pencil or a piece of paper and chop its legs off. It was cruel.
And that age-old battle between insects and birds would start again. But
were they feeding chickens Scolopendra? Did I just see that right?
They eat dragonflies and other insects. And that age-old battle between insects and birds would start again.
Those are.
But leave the parakeet at home. You'd need a hawk or a trained eagle to fight these giant bugs. Although even these predators wouldn't be immune from attacks.
Now, whether modern birds of prey would interact favorably or not with Meganeura, if it existed today, is really not going to come into play as much as the fact that Meganeura is going to target birds. I think birds would be a definitive target for them. They would target anything flying around like that. They're mostly aerial hunters. So in that vein, they're very similar to like peregrine falcon, right? But peregrine falcons do the dive thing, whereas Meganeura are just fast off the bat. I mean, they'd be like a dragonfly, like able to zoom pretty quickly from here to there.
Maybe you wouldn't have to worry about an oversized daddy longlegs spider, but the Goliath bird eater?
Okay, that was daddy longlegs that's a harvestman. It's not a spider. This is a spider, but popping back, this is not a spider. This is a harvestman, an opilion. They're omnivores, as you can see. It's enjoying a apple core. They don't bite. They are fairly harmless to humans. They don't really have the equipment to hurt a person. Even at a large size, they'd be relatively harmless. It still probably eats the same things. They may be able to, again, be opportunistic predators on small organisms, or eggs might be a target for them. Animals that lay eggs might be in trouble, because these guys do tend to live in colonies. But as far as humans go, I don't think we'd be in any kind of trouble.
Oversized daddy longlegs spider, but the Goliath bird eater? Well, that's a different story. When they were normal size, your pet bird would be in danger. I mean, it's in the name. So if you
Well,
got caught,
they aren't actually efficient at eating birds. And the spiders we have today, because they keep rehashing back to ancient organisms, but the biggest spiders that I'm aware of, and anybody ever, feel free to correct me, are alive today. We have currently the biggest spiders in existence exist right now.
in this beefed up version's web, it could be fatal. Normally, their venom wouldn't necessarily kill you, but getting a giant-sized dose of venom in your blood could end your life before you even knew what happened.
You'd be done. Again, a giant spider, too, would be something you could pierce and probably put it out of commission like that, just with one piercing sting. And as you can see from watching a wasp interact with them, with tarantulas, you would have a definitive speed advantage. Now, if like something like a giant huntsman, with that kind of speed, you'd be a little bit screwed. You'd be the mouse.
Ugh, that's grim. And even that fate is better than if you met a wasp in this world. Yeah, giant wasps might be able to paralyze you with one sting. And unfortunately, it's not done with you yet.
Oh boy, here we
this
go.
This insect would take...
I love this. This idea would be horrid. I was actually, oh my gosh, I was arguing with people on Twitter about this the other day. It was hilarious. It was so good. We were talking about parasitic insectoids from Resident Evil 3, the spider that lives on the ceiling. And somebody kept calling it porn. Insisted it was porn. It was crazy. Actually, let me see if I can pull up that thread real quick. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. I'm always getting up to shenanigans on Twitter. It's sort of my outlet from time to time. Looks like I'm arguing with TERFs most of the time here lately. Looking back through my post. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Spend the majority of my time. Here we go. Yeah, here's the thread. Okay. So, and they said I couldn't show this. These people said I wouldn't be able to show this on YouTube or anything too. So that's kind of funny. So it went like this. They went out of their way to strip all the sexuality from Jill just to make her glizzy a monster about sticking its reproductive ovipositor in her mouth and putting its eggs into her stomach. Yeah. And they're like, what the F is, what the fuck, I don't know why I edited myself for like 3 hours into the stream. What the fuck were they thinking with this scene? The game needed at least one redeeming feature. The writer's poorly disguised fetish. So, like, to be fair, that was pretty hot. Supposed to being a troll. Not exactly the point. I think it's the fact they went above and beyond to make Jill look strong and independent. Yet here they gave her a moment of a mutated gangbang for very little, if not any reason other than to fetishize. So having an organism that reproduces this way is not a fetish. It's just part of ecology. Next, he says, because it's supposed to be terrifying that you're suddenly infected by a rapidly developing mutant that is going to game end you in a primal visceral fear. The weirder thing is the lack of body horror is in a body horror game, and they accuse her of being trans and thinking that it's in it being a fetish. I bring up Geiger, and that this was a method of reproduction that's found in nature. Goes on for quite a bit. I start showing spiders because they're saying that this is rape. So this is where it gets weird and goes off the rail. I said, this is not rape. Stop being weird. If that insect is forcefully penetrating another, that's rape. Look, just stop replying. This is Jerry. You're horrendously wrong, and I'm vicariously embarrassed for you. Let me see, where does this go? There was one more where showing him the spider. Yeah, forcefully penetrating. Can you believe that? Yeah. Unprepared means that here we go. Is that what I was looking for? No. Okay. Yeah, unprepared means the victim doesn't give consent, therefore it's rape. So this is like talking about that the spider predation is rape. That like when she lays her eggs inside the spider, parasitoid wasp are allegedly just, it's committing rape. That's classified as sexual. It's also extremely telling that you all had to go to insects in order to justify your fetish. You really have nothing else to give for your... because there's not actually an organism big enough to do this to human, my dude. Not big enough organisms to use this reproductive strategy using the human body. The idea of all these horror concepts is what if. It's not a fetish, it's what if. It's horror. It's supposed to terrify you. Anyway, back to the movie. We're almost done here. It's only an 8-minute video.
Take you back to their nest where you would be eaten alive by their larvae. So, how would you stop these attacks? Well, since wasps have poor vision at night, your best bet would be to strike after the sun went down, destroying their nest in a sneak attack. Humans would have to adapt to the dark to deal with the new threats.
All right. If you put a glue trap down and you kill one of the wasps and put it on the glue trap, the other wasp will come to the glue trap to try to save it. And they will all get stuck. That's how you can defeat them without having to use any kind of weapon or anything. Well, only for the first one. If you can get the first one actually, if the first one's alive, that's even better. If you get it trapped alive. There's videos on it if you want to see how it's done, but it's a common method used by beekeepers to make sure wasps don't get their bees.
To our existence. But don't destroy the larvae just yet. This payback is gonna be sweet. Or, well, maybe savory. When the world panicked at the sight of murder hornets, some people in Japan were laughing as they pan-fried their grubs. Yeah, these giant larvae could be preserved in jars or even steamed with rice. A wasp...
Yum! Would you try them? Would you guys try them, Hive?
Shish kebab could be tasty. I mean, if they don't skewer you first. This world would create a never-ending battle between humans and insects. And victory would go to whoever's hungriest. Even with these giant bugs roaming the earth, we would still have the brains and brawn to fight back. But now, what if these oxygen levels had the same effect on humans? Yeah, what if you grew to be 5 meters tall? Well, stick around, beanpoles, because that's a story for another What If.
All right, so that was What If. I actually did enjoy doing this one. Pretty fun. I know I went on a Twitter tangent there for a minute. Hope you all were able to tolerate that just for me to get through it. But this has been another episode of SciFails. And we looked at what if there were giant insects today. And I don't know if I agreed with much that they said, but I hope it was a fun ride for you guys. Please remember to be kind. Take care. and we will see you next time.